Okay, we'll go ahead and do our presentation. Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm so happy that you were able to join us and to learn about COVID-19 vaccinations, this town hall meeting between CSD and APTC, and Sutter Health is hosting this town hall. We have three important people here on our Zoom today that you can see: Isaac, Dr. Yu, Champignon, and we have Dr. Chang and Dr. Yu. Isaac is a really great person. He contacted CSD and said, we're noticing with the vaccinations that are coming that we, all this information must happen. We need to have some kind of a town hall. So we had APTC and myself within the community, FTC, and we all got together and with Sutter Health, because Isaac, he really felt like hosting a town hall for all people was not respecting our communities and our cultures within the area. And so we wanted to have a specific town hall to be able to go with that community and match their culture and their language and their values and the information exchange. Every community is very different. So Isaac was so brilliant on that, wanting to make sure that we had one for our own deaf community. So now this format is going to entail, we will have a moderator who's going to be doing I am the moderator. So I'll be taking all the questions and everything that you guys have all sent. So thank you for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and go off after the introductions, and then we're going to let the doctors go ahead and do some explanations. And then I will show up and be, again, the moderator and asking some questions that you guys send in to us. And then the four of us are going to, and the deaf interpreter, the CDI, will be on screen the entire time to sign for the doctors, and it's fully deaf centered. And then we'll have a QA at the end. So I'm not even going to be looking at the chat box. I'm going to be looking specifically at the Q&A, which is at the bottom. So if you have a question, please go ahead and click on that Q&A and type in your question. So then I'll be able to see all the questions during the lecture today. And then I can go ahead and make sure that we have them ready to ask the doctors. So I can go ahead and translate all those questions and make sure that everything's ready for the doctors to be able to answer it before the end of the night. And then that's it. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Now let's get started. So please, Dr. Yu and Dr. Chang, the floor is yours. And I hope that you can really kind of think about what they're talking about today and have an open mind and be able to answer your questions about the vaccines. And, there's now 3 out there. And so I'm so glad that you wanted to participate and join with us today so you can learn some more. So thank you. Bye-bye. Go ahead, doctors.
Thank you, Jack. Good evening, everyone. I just want to first start with saying thank you to Isaac for bringing us all together tonight, and for Jack moderating us. And I just feel so honored to be here with your community, with this community, and being able to talk about a topic that is so important to people right now. And I just want to say I'm super impressed by this group spending time 6 p.m. on a Friday evening to be here and talk about keeping ourselves healthy and safe. And your commitment to that is super important to me. I am as committed to your health as you are, as committed to it. And I want to just, again, thank you all for having us here tonight. So, our purpose tonight is to just really have a conversation, talk about COVID-19 vaccines and talk about their safety and their, how effective they are, and answer any questions you might have about them. And so we'll start with just some informational background, and then we'll go on to some questions and answers. So to start with, I just wanted to share some of this happiness and energy that we've seen out in the community. So we've had the vaccine available to us since right around Christmas time, and these are some of our patients getting vaccinated. We're so there's just so much relief. As you can see from our patients, you can see they're smiling behind their mask. We call that a smize, right? Smiling eyes. So just so much happiness, energy, and relief. And I think this is also, evident here in, we had our patients write down what they were feeling when they came in to get their vaccines. And I think this really shows a lot of what everyone's feelings are right now, and especially when people came in and had an opportunity to be vaccinated. All right, so.
Hey, Stephanie, could we just pause? I'm seeing that people cannot see the interpreter. So while people pause and read the slide, I wonder if there's a way to address that.
Oh, yeah, we can't see Jack. Is it? It's not just you and I, Ed, that can't see Jack. Everyone else can't see her.
So I think Jack O'Fara, is there a way they can see the interpreter? Because as we speak, I think the speaker is showing up and not the interpreter. So we need to be able to show the interpreter. Let me actually type in the chat to let people know we're working on it.
Is everything okay? Jack says Jack's here.
Okay. Yeah, I can see Jack now. We were worried that the rest of the community could not see Jack because Ed and I could not see Jack.
Can you?
Now I can see.
Hold on a second.
Now I see Jim now.
I see Jack.
Okay. I see the interpreter now. So it looks like we're okay.
Okay. Okay, great. So we will move on, and it looks like probably everyone had more than enough time to read through this slide. So, if we reflect on the past year, this really, really hard, difficult, trying year and very scary. We started off in January and February of 2020 hearing about this new virus, coronavirus, and wondering, is this for real? Is it going to affect us? March and April came, and sure enough, we had a shelter in place. New York was going through a surge. People were getting sick and dying, and we were all really scared and fearing for our lives, and we still are. So many months in, people started to talk about, what is our way out of this? How are we going to get out of this pandemic? And the answer has been that we need a vaccine. And, a lot of people asked, well, how long is it going to take to get a vaccine? And many of the experts were saying probably not till sometime in 2021. And to our good fortune and amazement, we had a vaccine actually approved in December of 2020. And so my first thought was, which is a thought that I think many of you probably have, is, wow, that's amazing. And does it really work? And was it really developed safely? And so let's answer that question. Let's answer actually those two questions. So we're going to start with the safety question. How were the vaccines made so quickly and safely at the same time? So number one, the work was expedited and prioritized at all levels. So usually, when you're working on something like this, you need everyone to be working towards that same goal. And, you know, a lot of times there's paperwork sitting on people's desks waiting for approvals. And in this case, we didn't wait. You know, we moved that paperwork along. We started on the next step before we have the first step approved. So really it was all hands on deck working towards that same goal, prioritizing and really speeding that process along and not letting it delay at any point. The other thing that we leveraged was new technology. So there's new vaccine technology, amazing science that we're able to leverage. This is the mRNA vaccine technology that we use to manufacture these vaccines quickly. Now, although this is new technology, it is based on 30 years of research. So we've had a lot of information to use to develop these vaccines quickly. The other question is, okay, yeah, you know, we have these studies that came through, these clinical trials that came through, and was the data from the clinical trials really, is it true that it's, you know, what it says? And one of the main things that they made sure to do was to use independent scientists from 2 different groups to review the data that the FDA and CDC put out from these 2 scientific companies that developed these vaccines. So yes, it's safe. And that was done through prioritizing the work and leveraging new scientific technology. The other thing that we leveraged was something you all know very well, which is social media. And social media enabled these companies to recruit volunteers very quickly. We didn't have that capability many years ago when we were developing other vaccines. So social media was really helpful in developing these vaccines. Okay, so now that we know that the vaccines were developed safely, the question we are going to ask is how effective are the vaccines? Actually, I think we're missing the next, I think we're going to do a poll now. Is that right? I think we're missing that slide, but here, I'm going to ask a question. Here we go. Okay. How effective are the mRNA? These are the 2, this is the mRNA vaccines that I was talking about. There's 2 companies, Pfizer and Moderna, that developed these vaccines. And my question to you guys, we're going to get you guys to answer this question in the poll. Are the vaccines 95%? How effective are they? 95%, 75%, 50%, or 25%?
Should we move on and see the answers?
Yeah, actually, okay, there we go. You guys are correct. Okay, you guys must have been studying. Okay, yes, so the answer is 95%. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to close this poll or can I move on? Let's see.
Yes, I think you can.
Okay, share results. Let's just close that. Okay, here we go. Oops. I'm going to move down. And can you guys see that? Are you guys still looking at the poll or can you see my screen?
I can see your next slide.
Okay, I'm going to move this poll out of my way because it's in my way. Okay, here we go. So this slide is the data from the 2 companies that developed the 2 vaccines that we're currently administering. So Pfizer and Moderna are the 2 companies. And so we'll start with the first one that was approved. That was Pfizer. So that study had 43, or that clinical trial had 43,000 participants. And the efficacy on the vaccine was 95% effective after 2 doses, which were given 21 days apart. And this particular vaccine was approved for people aged 16 years and older. And then for the Moderna vaccine, very similar numbers. They had 30,000 participants in this clinical trial, 94% effective after 2 doses, which were given 28 days apart. And again, approved for people aged 18 years and older. Okay, so 95% effective. That's fantastic. You can't find many vaccines that are that effective. So this vaccine is pretty amazing. It's safe and it works. Okay, so let's move on, because I know, okay, now you guys are like, okay, I know it's safe, I know it's effective, but if I get this shot, what's going to happen, right? Okay, so what are the side effects? So I'm going to give a moment to go ahead and read this slide. Okay, so on the left are, you know, a lot of side effects, and they're kind of like getting the flu or a cold. So except for obviously the pain at the site of the injection, and that's actually the most common side effect people will see. Fever, chills, headache, fatigue, muscle aches, joint pains, diarrhea, dizziness, and trouble breathing. Okay, that's a long list of side effects. On the right are the, you know, really the most common ones. And I would say in my own experience and just listening to, you know, my colleagues and other people around me who've been vaccinated, the 4 on the right are really the main ones that people are experiencing. It's the fatigue, like I said, the pain and swelling at the injection site, fever and chills, and headache. You know, and everyone experiences, you know, different side effects at different levels. So some people have really been able to just go on with their days like normal. And other people are really feeling like they have to rest and limit their activities. So it varies from person to person. I was one of those unlucky people who had to sleep for several hours, but I actually thought I was pretty lucky in that it meant that I could feel the vaccine working, and it also made me take a break from all the work I was doing. So I was thankful for that break. Okay. So I think we have our second audience poll question. I don't think that someone else is doing the poll, right? I'm waiting for someone.
Yes, someone else will put up the poll, I hope.
Okay.
Still don't see the poll on my side.
I don't either. Let's see here. Uh-oh. No, I'm just going, uh-oh. Hold on a second. I just got rid of the talk for a second here. I hope you guys are looking at my...
Seeing your private emails.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's see. How do I get my... Does anyone know how I get my screen back up here? Oh, let's see. That's not it. Resume share. Oh.
Oh, they answered all 3 of the polls. Oh, okay.
We answered all 3 of the polls already?
Well, Stephanie, maybe we'll just, in interest of time, maybe we'll just go on. And if the people have the poll to give us the answer,
Okay.
we can try it that way.
Okay. All right. So the next question was, in general, how long after the vaccine is given do side effects start to show up? Who's got the poll? Who's got the answer? The results of that poll? There we go.
There they are.
Okay. Yes. You guys are doing your homework. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. 1 to 2 days. That's right. Okay. So let's move on to the next slide. Oops. What just happened? Oh, there we go. Okay. I gotta move this poll out of the way here. All right. So most side effects show up after 1 to 2 days. The median duration, or the average length of time that the symptoms last, is 1 day. More side effects are seen after the second dose. That's definitely been, what I've been hearing as well. It's definitely second dose. A lot of people after the first dose are like, oh, it's no big deal, a little bit of pain in my arm. Definitely people are feeling after the second dose. And then older adults tend to have fewer side effects. So my apologies to this group. I think most of us are on the young side over here, and probably will feel a little bit more than our elders were feeling it. And definitely, as you guys can see on the right, this prominent side effect of not being able to stop talking about the fact that you got your COVID vaccine, that is very real too. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, allergic reactions. Okay, so we're going to talk about a little bit about COVID-19 vaccines and allergic reactions. The most common symptoms we see with allergic reactions are rapid heart rate, rash, and shortness of breath. And what we found, there was, initially some concern about this. We actually found that these allergic reactions are very rare and they're treatable. Okay, so we typically use an EpiPen for someone who's having an allergic reaction. EpiPen is the medication we use to treat. And people are responding well to that treatment if they actually have an allergic reaction. But again, it's very rare. And one of the things we do to make sure that everyone's okay is we observe everyone for 15 to 30 minutes after they've been vaccinated. And we also ask everyone to make sure to talk to your doctor if you had a history of a severe allergic reaction to a vaccine or injectable previously. Okay, so if any of you out there have had a previous history of an allergic reaction to a vaccine or injectable, you should definitely ask your doctor before you get your vaccine. It is definitely okay to receive the vaccine if you have an allergy to other things that are not vaccines or injectables, such as food, animals, or latex. Okay. So again, allergic reactions, rare and treatable, and caution to anyone who's had a history of an allergic reaction to a vaccine or an injectable. Okay. So I think we actually have our last poll question. So our last poll question is, after the second mRNA vaccine is given, how long does it take to be fully effective?
We can bring up the poll answer since the people answered it already.
Is anyone seeing the poll answer?
Still waiting on my end.
There it is. Okay, let's see.
You have to scroll down to see the answer.
Wow. Okay, there you guys are. You are consistently doing your homework. Okay, yes, 7 to 14 days. Okay, so a lot of questions. Okay, now I've gotten my vaccine, and I've gotten my second vaccine. When does it start working, and what does that mean I can do, right? Okay, so yes, that 95% efficacy that we talked about, we think you have it at around 2 weeks out from getting your second vaccine. Okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean I can stop masking? Does that mean I can stop social distancing and hanging out with everyone? Unfortunately, no, not at this point. Okay. So we still need to mask, we still need to social distance, we still need to wash our hands. We need to do all those good things that we've been doing. And we still need to get tested if we have COVID-like symptoms. Okay. So, at this point, we just don't know yet. We don't know for sure if the vaccine prevents you from spreading virus to other people. Okay, so you may be what we call an asymptomatic spreader of the virus, meaning that you don't actually have any symptoms, but you could spread it to others even though you've had the vaccine. So we're waiting to find that out. And we actually think it's probably likely that you are not a spreader, but we're waiting to find out more. And in Israel, there's actually been a lot more of their population, the percentage of their population who's been vaccinated, and they are finding that it is, getting to that level where the numbers of cases are coming down, likely because of the vaccine. And so as we learn more, hopefully we'll be able to get to a level of what we call herd immunity or community immunity that will allow us to forgo some of the safety measures we put in place. Okay, so 2 weeks after you get your vaccine, you're 95% protected. You can feel pretty good. Okay, and if your whole family is vaccinated, then maybe you guys could say, you know what, we're all vaccinated. We don't have to worry as much together when we're together. Okay. So let's summarize. We're at 6:30, so we're a little bit behind. Let's summarize what we've talked about tonight, and then we'll get on to some questions and answers. So some take-home points. Okay, number one, the COVID vaccines are safe and very effective. Number two, the side effects last 1 or 2 days and are more common after the second dose. Allergic reactions are rare and treatable. Number three, allergic reactions are rare and treatable. Number four, it takes time for the vaccine to start working. About 14 days after the second dose to be fully effective. Okay, and the last point here is that we still need to take our COVID precautions even after getting the vaccine. Okay, and because these vaccines are safe and effective, we hope that we can get to a level of immunity in the community such that we can get back to giving each other hugs, attending prom, graduation, seeing everyone in person, going to college and living in the dorms, all of that good stuff. Going on vacations. Okay, Ed, I'm gonna let you chime in here. Is there anything that I missed so far before we move on to a little bit more distribution, but I just wanted to let you say anything that you wanted to say. Oh, you're on mute.
No, I think this is great. Let's finish our talk and get to the excellent questions that have come in.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so a lot of you are probably wondering, okay, so now that you've told me it's safe and effective and that this is going to get me back to doing what I want to do, how can I get the vaccine? Okay, so there's a very thoughtful approach to distributing the vaccine because our supply is limited right now. So the California Department of Public Health, the FDA, and the CDC have developed plans to distribute the vaccine through a tiered approach based on your level of risk. So for example, our 75-year-olds and older population is being vaccinated first because they are at the highest risk of severe illness or death from COVID-19. So they have been prioritized to get the vaccine. And then we'll move on to 65-year-olds and essential workers, and we'll continue through those tiers based on people's level of risk. Okay, and it's pretty amazing. So, you know, from those studies we saw, it was like, you know, 43,000, 30,000 people that were in the clinical trials. Well, now we've actually administered 186 million doses across 82 countries. And in the US, we've administered 56 million. That's about 12% of the population that has received their first dose, and 70% that has received their second doses, 2 doses. And so far in California, we have administered about 6 million doses, which is about similar to the numbers in terms of percentages in the US. So about 17% have received 2 doses. Okay. Let's move on to this last slide. Actually, this is the second to last slide. So how do I get vaccinated? Through Pamphlen Center, which is where Dr. Yu and I work. This is a screenshot of how you can book your appointment. You can book through either My Health Online or by calling the phone number that we have dedicated to scheduling vaccines. And this last slide, oops, I think, oh, it's at the end of our slide deck. We actually have the link to this website. Pretty simple. We've tried to make it easy for people to get their vaccine through the 2 ways, either through My Health Online or by calling. There are also, so you guys know, I'll just add, sorry, Dr. Yu, I'll just add that there's also myturn.ca.gov, which is county, state, or website that allows you to schedule outside of Pamphlen Center. There's a lot of mass vaccination clinics, of which we are actually part of running, but that website gives you access to all the clinics that are giving vaccine. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. What I was going to add were 2 points. Right now, there is a vaccine shortage that will take a little while to get through. So at the moment, many of the places, including Pamphlen Center, have a temporary hold on scheduling vaccine appointments. We anticipate that to be lifted relatively soon once vaccine supply comes. So if you, in the event, can't get a vaccine appointment or unable to book, just please check back in a few days because situation changes pretty quickly. Second, please be aware that we are in this all together, and you can go to any place that offers COVID vaccine and you should be able to get it. So for instance, if you can't get it at Pamphlen or Center, feel free to check it at the county site or a different health system, because they may be able to have vaccines sooner than we can and vice versa. So don't feel that you have to only check one place. The goal right now is, if it's your turn, get the vaccine wherever you can, whenever you can, because that's the mission. The quicker we can vaccinate, the faster we can get through this pandemic. Thank you. All right, I think we can go to the Q&A, and I believe, Jack, you're moderating it. I can't hear Jack yet. So maybe in the interest of time, I will read the first question that came in to Dr. Chen for her to
Jack is
answer.
muted. I think Jack is muted.
Oh, Jack is muted. Okay.
Nope, I'm sorry, I was muted. So Jack is here.
Okay.
Okay, Jack. So I can still see your slides, actually. Is there any way that you could stop sharing your screen, Dr. Chang?
Absolutely. Here we go.
There we go. Perfect. Great. Thank you. Wonderful. So now Jack's bigger so people can see the signing more clearly. Great. Thank you again. And I want to take a moment to thank the both of you for everything that you've just walked through, taking your time to explain everything, with all the questions and the comments and everything. So I wanted to thank you so much for that, because I know something that I learned. I hope that people who are watching this also was like, oh, I learned a lot. I didn't know that either. I learned that too. So now I'm going to go ahead and go with the questions. And what's the difference between the Moderna and the Pfizer? What's the difference between the two?
It's a great question. So they're both mRNA vaccines. So they use the same technology. The difference between and they're pretty much the same in terms of effectiveness, 94, 95%. I pretty much say that's the same. The real difference between the two is the timing between the first and second dose. So Pfizer vaccine, they're both 2 doses, but you get your second dose after 21 days. Moderna, also 2 doses, but you get your second dose after 28 days. That's the real difference. Now, there is some storage differences too. So the Pfizer vaccine, and this is probably not very interesting to you guys, but the Pfizer vaccine needs to be put in really like ultra cold storage. So it's a little harder to handle on our end. The Moderna is a little easier because it doesn't need to be in ultra cold. All right, and that's, Ed, did you have anything to add to?
Perfect.
No, let's go to the next question.
So if I wanted to choose, if I had a preference between Pfizer or Moderna, am I allowed to make that choice? Or does the doctor decide? Or how does that work exactly?
So right now, the answer is get whatever vaccine you can get the quickest. Right now, there won't be a choice. The mission is shots in arms as quickly as possible. And also, we don't know which vaccine we receive from the state. Once we receive it, we will directly administer it. So right now, there's no choice. You get the vaccine that you get the day that you show up for your appointment. So not a time to choose. There will be perhaps later, but right now, you get what you get when you show up. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, great. So I was wondering if either of you experienced any side effects yourself? Or were they the same? Did you guys both experience the same side effects, or what's your personal take on that?
Yeah, I guess we can both answer this question. After the first vaccine, my arm was a little sore, kind of like after getting the flu vaccine. After the second dose, about 24 hours in, I was feeling achy in my hips. And then I started to feel feverish and chills and tired. I was really tired. That lasted about 12 hours because I went to bed around 7 o'clock and woke up 7 o'clock the next morning and I was perfectly fine, ready to go. That was it. What about you, Ed?
Yeah, for me, I felt nothing the first dose. As of nothing, I didn't get anything. So I said, oh, this is great. The second dose, I felt very tired for that day. I usually don't take a nap. I felt I need to. Again, after the next day I woke up, I felt fine. I had a little soreness in the arm the second dose, but really after a day, it was back to normal. So I was very thankful for that. And I had a good experience from that part.
Yeah, and I would say definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. You know,
I did have some comments where somebody said where stories where people get the second vaccine and still don't feel anything. They're like, oh, I thought I was going to get sick. I thought I was going to have a fever. I thought I was going to be super tired. And it's kind of what you two had experienced. Some people said they didn't have anything. They're like, oh, I still feel fine. I don't have anything. And then they're worried if they should get a third vaccine because I'm supposed to feel something. I'm supposed to be sick. I'm supposed to get some kind of effect. So what's your response to people who may contact you with that? I got my second dose and I'm still fine. I didn't get anything. Am I okay? Or should I be concerned? Is it working?
No need to be concerned. Everybody reacts to vaccines differently. And for this vaccine, the older you are, the less likely for you to have an effect. So the fact that you don't have any reactions to the vaccine does not mean a vaccine is not working. We know it from the trials that the antibody response is strong and vigorous. So just count yourself as being one of the lucky ones that you got through the vaccines without feeling a thing. So no need to worry if you don't feel a thing after your 2 doses.
Lucky. Yes, obviously lucky, yes. So I also was wondering, suppose that there may have a person maybe have cancer, maybe a cancer survivor, and then they take the COVID vaccine. Is it possible that the body may be like immune from those antibodies, or any kind of resistance or side effects specifically from the COVID vaccine in person that's either gone through chemo or has a cancer survivor?
So I can take that one. Having cancer in no way prevents you from getting the vaccine. So you certainly should continue to do so. Now, does your body's ability to mount a response to the vaccine get affected by the treatment you receive from cancer? The answer is that if it does, it's not going to be a significant a factor where it will affect your ability to get the vaccine or mount a response. So, in fact, if you have cancer or some of the higher risk conditions, it is more important for you to get the vaccine simply because you are probably at higher risk of bad effects from catching COVID-19. So don't let the concern that, oh, my cancer or my medications will affect my body's ability to get the response and not get the vaccine. That's a common concern that we hear. And I think that's in no way those conditions negate the benefit you will get from the vaccine, and certainly should not, because of those conditions, skip getting the vaccine. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great, Ed. And I'll just add that everyone getting the vaccine will protect those who can't mount an immune response or can't get the vaccine. So, all of us are protecting ourselves. We're also protecting those people who are at a higher risk or unable to get the vaccine for whatever reason.
And please continue to give us your questions in the Q&A. Some of them we're answering, and some of them we're going to answer live. So please keep them coming. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. That's awesome. So now with the new third Johnson & Johnson, it has their vaccine that's going to be coming out, and it seems like it's only a one-time deal, one-time shot. So what's the difference with their shot and the other two that we've talked about?
You want to take
Pfizer,
that,
Moderna, and the
Stephanie?
Johnson & Johnson. So is theirs more powerful, or how does it, just kind of having a question about the difference between the three?
Yeah, so the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a different type of vaccine. It's still not a live virus. It is a DNA vaccine. The big difference is it's one dose. So that's great because you only have to get one dose. You don't have to come back for a second. What I've seen so far is that its efficacy is not as great as the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. So what I heard was about 60 to 65%, and I don't know if you've heard anything else, but about 62 to 65% efficacy. So less effective, but one dose. So, that one should be, again, to Ed's point, we think that if we can get our hands on a vaccine and get it in our arms, we should take it. And that one, I think, is going through the process of approval right now and is actually on the way soon. And I think that is, also really wonderful news. To be able to have a vaccine where we only have to get one dose is super valuable as well.
Yeah, what I will add, don't be alarmed by, oh, this is only 60 some percent or 70% effective and the Pfizer is 95. You have to remember when the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines were tested, it was tested in 2020 before we have these new variants that are circulating right now. Part of the data that we see are done at different time frames, and as a result, the virus that's they're evaluating mix has changed. So in that light, that's why at this point, we don't want people to be picky about which vaccines they get. They're all very effective, whether there are 95, 85, or 75 or whatnot. So go just get whatever vaccine you can get and go from there. This ties into some other questions that have been typed in about variants. And simply right now, the virus does change. This is what these viruses do. And as far as we know, there is effectiveness against these new variants. Now, to what degree and do they are as effective what we have when we studied, that is an unknown question. And yet that's another reason why it's critical that we're able to vaccinate people quickly and fast, because the more of the people are protected against COVID, the less chance of this virus continue to mutate in a way that may render them make our current vaccines less effective. They're very effective right now against what we see out in the community. So again, the goal is get the vaccine as soon as you can when it's your turn, and encourage your friends and your family to do so as well. Thank you.
I see one question that got typed here, and it says, I don't want the vaccine, but I want to support the stopping the spread. So can I just go ahead and continue with my mask wearing and my hand washing and social distancing and, not mingling? And because I don't want to get the vaccine. So is that still effective?
Well, there are two ways to get to herd immunity. One is to get the vaccine. The other is to get sick from COVID. So if you don't want the vaccine, the only other route is to get the disease. And I would imagine that's not something you want either. So while you, and I hope we are able to convince you to change your mind, but in the meantime, without question, you should still continue with the behaviors that you mentioned: masking, distancing, hand washing, and the like. And in fact, that's the same recommendation as Dr. Chen has mentioned, that even if you have gotten the vaccine, those still apply to you as well until we get to the point of community or herd immunity. Anything to add, Stephanie?
No, that's perfect. I just want to remind everyone what herd immunity means is that, you know, when we get to a level in the community that enough people are immune to COVID, either by being vaccinated or by getting COVID, such that we are no longer worried about its spread to the pandemic level that we're seeing.
So because of time, I see a few open questions on the Q&A that I think we can answer pretty quickly. So I want to get through as many questions as we can as Farah prepares the next question. So one is, can we vaccinate kids? The answer is we don't know yet. They are doing clinical trials right now in some of the vaccines, and we anticipate having some results coming in probably about the summertime. But as of right now, there's no authorization to give the vaccines to kids. We do anticipate that it will be possible. However, we have to wait for information to come and authorization to be approved by the governmental agencies. The other question they ask is, any known issues, drug interactions with prescriptions and vaccines? In general, there are no, taking any prescription medicines in no way prevents you from getting the vaccine. The only exception out there is in the event you need to take high dose steroids. That's a medicine of which decreases your immune response for a medical condition. That is one condition where this is that may be different. But again, if you're in that situation, talk with your doctor about that. Otherwise, all standard prescription medications will not interact with the vaccine and should not prevent you from getting the vaccine. Next question, should pregnant women take a vaccine? The answer is yes. And in fact, it has been announced that pregnancy is one of the high-risk conditions that is moving up the tier to get the vaccine starting March 15th. And then the last question, someone read the news that there may be a chance that we need to get vaccinated every 6 months, like a booster. Well, we don't know yet. That's the answer. A lot of it depends on how quickly we can vaccinate the community. And then at that time, what is the virus doing in the community? However, the chances of us needing COVID vaccine as a regular booster every year, for instance, like flu shots, is a scenario that medical experts are monitoring to see if that will happen. But for right now, we just don't know yet. The goal right now is encourage everyone to get the vaccine who is eligible. Thank you. Anything to add to those questions, Stephanie, before we take our next one?
No, that was great. Thanks, Ed.
So there's one up in the prepared
Great. So actually, there
Stephanie.
was one last question before we wrap up here
Okay.
really quickly in the QA that I saw. Let me go ahead and translate that question really quickly.
Or Stephanie, while we wait
Oh,
for
I'm
that.
sorry. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Are they going to tell us? Are they going to tell us which brand of vaccine that we get when we go in? Are they going to tell us which one, like before we get it or after we get it, or?
You'll absolutely know what you're getting before you get it. So they won't give you the vaccine without you knowing which kind or brand or which company's vaccine you're getting.
Yeah, and that's important because your second dose timing changes depending which brand you get. So it is critical that you know, and you will know when you go in and get it. There's one question I think we should answer, Stephanie, that people ask after.
Oh, hold on. Sorry,
Oh.
Dr. Yu. And then when you go for your second, you have to have the same brand when you go get the 2 shots. You can't get a Pfizer and then a Moderna the next one, correct? They have to be the same brand.
That's correct. That's why it's important.
So Stephanie, after getting my 2 doses, how long must I wait before going out to travel, for haircuts, to go indoor shopping and all that? What's your take on that?
You know, remember the efficacy is 14 days. And if you're going to go shopping, you're still wearing your mask, social distancing, washing your hands. And so, you know, I would definitely, if you're thinking, okay, I can't go out until I know I have protection, then I would say 14 days after is when you can go out. But again, you're not changing what you're doing in terms of being very careful and doing all those things to protect yourself still from COVID.
I agree. It's critical that you continue masking, washing hands, and do the distancing part, because we simply don't know whether get the vaccine prevents you from spreading or catching asymptomatic COVID. The studies right now are only on symptomatic COVID, but that's the main critical difference.
That's right. And I'll just remind everyone, I mentioned this earlier, but if after you get the vaccine, you get COVID-like symptoms, you should still get tested.
Hold on just one second. There we go. There we go. Okay, great. Now, Jack, I'm wondering if I, go ahead and get my vaccines, and then, is puts the live virus into your body to build immunity to that. So then if I do get my COVID and then I could socialize with people, I could technically give it to them. Is that true? Or do I need to make sure that I completely distance myself for 14 days afterwards?
So if I have this correct, I think there's a misunderstanding here. So the COVID vaccine is not a live virus vaccine. So you are not shedding virus and at risk of giving other people COVID because you've been vaccinated. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, that's correct.
Jack's saying people needed to know that. That was very important. People needed to know that. It's very important that people understand that.
You don't catch COVID from getting the vaccine. Impossible.
The way the vaccine works is teaching your body, it sends a messenger in there to tell your body to make the antibody against COVID. It's not by giving you the virus that you get protection.
Excellent. That is perfect. I think that's a very important point that some people do talk about. Oh, if I get that, then it's, giving me COVID basically. And then I just wanted to make sure. So thank you so much for clarifying that it's not a live virus. So really, now people started asking more questions. So I'm going to do the last two and then we'll wrap up if that's okay. And then when I have any more questions or whatever, I can send that to Isaac, and then you guys can maybe help answer some more questions if we have them. And this is also a recording. So when this is finished, we're going to be going ahead and sending it out to people so that they can go ahead and watch it. Okay, so, oh, I said same, you know, and is it the same arm? Did somebody already answered that? That the
No.
vaccine goes in the same arm?
It does not matter. It can go in either arm.
Okay, great. Okay. And then the last question, you just mentioned about the new variants, COVID variants.
Oh.
With the vaccine, are the vaccines going to help protect against those variants as well? Or could you be, you know, a little bit, do you have any information about that?
So the vaccine does should offer some protection to the variants. Now, would it be to the same degree as it was studied in the trials? The answer is that we don't know. And that is one of the concerns the medical community has, is that there is a chance as new variants develop, they will have ability to escape or make these vaccines less effective. We just simply don't know that right now. As far as we can see, there is protection against them. And that's one of the reasons why the speed of giving vaccines to as many people as quickly as we can is going to be critical. We want to get ahead of the speed of these variants mutating. That is how we're going to conquer the virus, and that is how we're going to get out of this pandemic. By the way, I applaud the community. These are great questions that you're asking, and we really appreciate them.
Excellent. Yay. Thank you. Again, we really appreciate you taking your time to join and answer all these questions and put together the PowerPoint that really helps, you know, with our community and going through everything and through the ins and outs and everything. And thank you so much for making this possible. We want to thank Jim for doing an amazing job interpreting. And we want to just thank everybody so much. And again, lastly, this is recorded, so we will go ahead and share it. And we can share you can share the recording with your friends or your family, and we can get that out there, because the more educated everyone is, then the more people will take the vaccine and, you know, protect ourselves and make California, you know, that herd immunity, so we can get that. So again, thank you all so very much. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much.